Thank you so much for watching Landumc Goes There. Please subscribe and hit the like button and the bell notification button. In 1996, director Jan de Bont introduced us to a disaster film called Twister. It was written by Michael Crichton and produced by Crichton, Kathleen Kennedy, Ian Bryce, with Steven Spielberg serving as an executive producer. The movie has a really nice ensemble cast that includes Helen Hunt, Bill Paxton, Jami Gertz, and Cary Elwes. The production was released in theaters on May 10, 1996 by Warner Brothers Pictures and went on to gross $500 million worldwide, becoming the second highest grossing film of that year. It sold an estimated 55 million tickets in the United States alone and received generally positive reviews from the critics. It went on to receive Academy Award nominations for Best Visual Effects and Best Sound. The storyline unfolds that during the approach of the most powerful storms in decades, university professor Dr. Joe Harding, played by Helen Hunt, and an underfunded team of students prepare the prototype for Dorothy, which is a groundbreaking tornado data gathering device that was conceived by her estranged husband, Bill, played by Bill Paxton. When Harding tells Bill that Dorothy is ready for testing and that their privately funded rival, Dr. Jonas Miller, played by Cary Elwes, has stolen the idea and built his own, Bill then rejoins the team for one last mission. The movie's production was plagued with problems. Joss Whedon was brought in to do a rewrite on the script in early spring of 1995. When he contracted bronchitis, Steven Zaillian was brought in to work on the revisions. Whedon later returned to continue work on the revisions through the start of shooting in May of 1995. Then he completely left the project after he got married. 2 weeks into the production, Jeff Nathanson was flown to the set and worked on the script until principal photography had ended. Among the many changes that they encountered and dealt with was one by Helen Hunt, as she complained that Joe and Melissa's interactions were sort of chatty with each other. This prompted her to tell the producers that that's not going to be very fun to play or to watch on the big screen, and she really wasn't sure if she wanted to do it with it being written that way. After the Oklahoma City bombing occurred on April 19, 1995, filming for the movie was suspended while the cast and crew worked with relief efforts there in the city. Filming was originally supposed to take place in California, but the director insisted that the film be shot on location in Oklahoma. Shooting occurred all over the state. Several scenes, including the opening scene where the characters meet each other and the first tornado chase happens, were filmed in Fairfax and Ralston, Oklahoma. The climactic scene with the F5 tornado was almost entirely shot around Eldora, Iowa. It's interesting that the way they came up with the sound for the tornado was by recording a camel's moan and slowing it down drastically and amplifying the volume. To create the winds that are visible during the film, they used a jet engine from a Boeing 707, along with numerous studio fans in combination with it. It was executive producer Steven Spielberg's idea to kill off the father in the opening scene. Originally, he would have survived, but it was decided that his death would establish how dangerous tornadoes can be and be the real reason for Joe's obsession with them in later life. The production crew bought 8 blocks of houses in the old downtown area of the real town of Waukeeta, Oklahoma, at a cost of about $7,000 to $10,000 per house. These houses and an additional 30 homes built by the production were subsequently demolished by the film's crew for the scenes after the twister passes. Days with full sunshine posed a real problem for the crew because it just didn't make the background skies look suitably stormy. In order to fix this and prevent delays, Several scenes, such as the truck cab sequences, had to be flooded with high-intensity lights to give a better contrast. As a result of doing this, Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton suffered minor retinal burns during the filming of these scenes. Now, Tom Hanks was the original choice for the role of Bill Harding. And as a matter of fact, he read lines for it with the cast and even chose the character's wardrobe, which stayed in the final cut of the film. But he ended up dropping out during pre-production, saying that it just wasn't what he wanted to do in his career at that time. It called for an eccentric man with a southern flair, and he felt like that just wasn't him. Now, there's an urban legend that goes along with this film. It goes that a tornado hit a drive-in theater in Stony Creek, Ontario, while this film was actually playing. In reality, there was a tornado that hit a drive-in theater in Ontario, but it wasn't in Stony Creek. It happened in May of 1996, and it completely damaged the screen of the theater. But the movie wasn't playing when the tornado hit, but it was scheduled to play that evening. The opening scene featuring Joe as a child wasn't in the film's original cut. Instead, a nightmare sequence was shot with the adult Joe flashing back several times to her traumatic childhood experiences, as well as multiple moments where Joe sees hallucinations of her dead father. One such scene would have shown Joe being visited by her dad, who gives her the strength and motivation to take on the final tornado. These scenes were finally cut because the director felt that they took away from the overall feel of the film. But after they were cut, he did feel that there was something missing. He compensated by going back and doing reshoots and filming a completely new opening scene that showed the entire event in full sequence. Now, Jami Gertz plays a major role in this film and was a pretty popular actress in the 80s and 90s. But people really remember her well from this film. She was born in Chicago, growing up in the suburb of Glenview. She was discovered in a nationwide talent search by Norman Lear. Now, you won't see her in the big screen or on TV much anymore, because there's really no need for her to do that to earn money. She has become excessively wealthy. Nowadays, if somebody asks you who is the richest actor on the planet, you'd probably come up with somebody like George Clooney or Tom Cruise or maybe Brad Pitt. But you would be completely wrong. It would be Jami Gertz. In 1989, Gertz married businessman Anthony Ressler. Jami and her husband's investments turned into gold mines, with one of their more publicized investments being their ownership stake in the Atlanta Hawks NBA team. It's thought that Jami's worth right now is between $5 and $8 billion, which sets her well on top of the Hollywood income totem pole. Go back and take a look at this really fun film. It was a popular one in the 90s, and it's still fun to rewatch. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.